Uh, what do you think the selling window tends to be in a lot of markets? So lawn mowing, fertilization. This one's a little more specific to these services. Let's use lawn mowing. In most US markets, because you have a lot of experience, is that typically a 2-month like prime selling window? Like this is what makes or break the year kind of thing.
Yeah.
Are we talking it's normally a 60-day, 90-day window, 120? What do you have any number that's pretty typical?
Most markets are between 70 and 90 days. We have, though, a few in the transition zones where they have kind of a double spring rush. So they'll have a little bit of a rush in like March when you have some cold season grasses, but then like warm season, all of a sudden they have like a July rush when it gets hot. So like, for example, I'm thinking of Charlotte, North Carolina, some markets like that, they have kind of a double whammy when the different type of grasses start coming up. But in general, we call spring rush pretty much March, April, May, June, somewhere in there.
Across the country.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Earlier, you were talking about, you made brief mention of being known as the guy that did door hangers. Didn't know that. Tell me a little bit about door hangers, like from this vantage, from the view of, it sounds like they worked really well for you. What are your top 3 or 4 learnings? It's been forever, but I did door hangers in a major way in the early days. Door hangers and SEO built the business in the early days. And so tell me some of your biggest learnings on door hangers.
Yeah. So first off, very, very time sensitive. So like you have to hit them when there's pain. And if you put that door hanger, same thing, a lot of this translates from every door direct mail or any mail. It's like they're getting that in the mailbox. And if there's not pain, the next day, if it's sunny, everything could change.
Yeah.
And so the size of testing is the part that I've seen the most important. Because if you test out 100 door hangers, you're probably not going to get a customer. Or you get a false positive and get 3 and think that, oh my word, I'm going to get 20,000 of these. So like test size is important. And then if you're going to compare, this is the hardest part with door hangers or mail, in my opinion, is because it's so dependent on timing, you really can't compare this week to next week or this month to next month. You have to wait 1 year to really get a solid split test. That's why I love social, is because I can just flop them like A, B, C, D test like so fast. Whereas with Sprint, to get a real test, you have to test year over year. And most people, I have hardly seen anyone have the patience to do that. And so that'd be the first thing, is like testing. I see most people do it really wrong. They'll hear someone like me say door hangers and go to 1,000 of them, put them out tomorrow. I'm like, wait, well, spring rush was 3 months ago. And I know in your market it works, but you're 3 months late to the party. So timing was the first one. And then the second one is just refining your pricing strategy. And we have found door hangers to be really good at entry level, get your foot in the door. You're not going to be a premium price. And so we get plenty of hate because people will snap photos of our door hangers at a $39 or $49 per cut price. But we know we can get in. We know that within 3 months, we can get that price back to what it might need to be, and people don't leave. And we can also sell them 2 other services. And so when you look at it, it's a gateway, it's get your foot in the door. It's not going to be perfectly accurate because we give a price on that door hanger. Then that is when it can be a really good tool. Then there's so many little optimizations. Like, do you have a QR code? Do you have them write on the door hanger? Do you have them text it to you? Do you have them send a picture via email? Like all these little other things. And it's just trial by error. It's literally the same thing as any other ad platform. You got to keep testing and then making little refinements. And most of us do not have the patience because they jump to another ad platform or like the next shiny thing that you or I or someone else is talking about.
Yeah, I definitely don't think most people should be messing with print. I like door hangers the most for the small. Again, I haven't done door hangers in years, but the way I think about it right now is I like them most for the guy that has a bunch of time and not a lot of money and not a lot of clients. Like, oh, what else am I going to do with my time? Go get clients. Like, that's the only thing that matters. It's that thing they can go do themselves. And I like that.
We know you love door knocking after last week. Let's go.
yeah, love it. And so, but the print can just spread, especially mail, can just wipe you out financially really quick. And it can be a big setback. So I consider the mail to be highly risky, a very advanced late stage strategy in the business, but it's got power, but you got to be ready to use it. And a lot of work has to go into it. So, On the door hangers, do you ever have problems? Again, haven't been in door hangers forever. Do you get many bad reviews because of putting out door hangers?
Not a whole lot, honestly.
Okay.
And usually, two things have happened. One, a lot of them can get the reviews taken down because we haven't actually done service for them. If you just say, hey, like this was never a customer of mine, they haven't been. They're not even in our database. So a lot of times Google will actually take those reviews down. The second thing is our responses to those reviews are actually like, I like those negative 1-star reviews because that's where customers are going to look. Like they're not looking at the 1,000 5-stars. They're looking at the few 1-stars. And if the only response to me to the only negative response about my business is the fact that I'm trying to go out and get more business, I think that a high quality customer usually is okay with it, depending on my response. So usually our response is like, you got to be professional. You don't let their attacks hinder. Like, just be professional. Apologize if needs be, depending on the circumstance. And especially if they're like going after like, you know, like solicit, and like, am I really in the nitty gritty details of like canvassing versus soliciting in a Google review response? No. And so I'm just trying to make my review response what I would want my future customer to see.
Right.
And I believe if you're professional and someone's like, hey, they're trying to get ahead. They're trying to promote their business. They're super professional and apologetic if they made someone mad. I think that's actually a good thing for the brand.
Yeah. All right. Some stuff's going to go wrong. It's not going to work. Who knows what it's going to be? But again, you've been doing this a while, a lot of franchisees. If this doesn't go to plan,
yeah,
and you're just guessing, what do you think a few of the off the rails kind of things could be?
So, by the way, I made sure I did not use AI in this whole thing today. I want to make sure these are authentic and real from what actually I felt. So, all right. So first off is scaling ads will be harder than just increasing the budget. Like, it's easy to just throw money at a problem. And every time that is a mentality of mine, it's never worked. It's like, oh, let's throw money at it.
Meaning it doesn't bring you in much additional traffic, or it doesn't bring much additional conversion. Now your CAC's just going up, or what do you mean?
Yeah, usually the law of diminishing returns is understated. And so it's like, well, it worked great when I was spending $100 a day, but will it work if I spend $1,000 a day?
Right.
And so I think that's the first area it could break. The second thing it could break is I've never ran a location that the crews take their trucks home. And so for each of these areas I'm mentioning, I'm obviously doing my best to facilitate this not happening. So I'm calling people, I'm talking to other owners in Augusta, other owners outside of Augusta, like they've done this model, but like I've never ran a location where the technicians take the trucks home. I've also never ran a location that uses vans. We've always used pickup trucks. And so another variable.
Vans work.
Yeah, let's go.
I can just tell you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Also, shout out to Jonathan. I don't know if this was ever caught on tape. I don't think it was, but Jonathan actually mentioned my market to me as a great market. So
yeah, I've never said, I told you where I would go if it was me.
Swipe and deploy. Also, it was out of your market. I'll be honest. It was out of your market. I really didn't want to start in your market. I really didn't. I was
so what I hear when you say this, I want to first perfect it so that when I come into your market,
now
you'll really feel
it. Now we're talking.
It just gives us more time to prepare.
That's right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
Make sure we get all the bad reviews out, and then we'll attack.
We'll be ready. So,
but yeah, like I've never done the van thing. I think I also likely underestimate how fast I can learn the market. And how I can deal with these two major variables, which is the vans and them taking the vehicles home. I really have the one at bat, like the one spring rush. And so I think I underestimate, because I've told every owner ever, it takes a few spring rushes to really figure out what that demand curve looks like. And I'm walking to this without that. So that's where, this is my last point, is like, where could it likely break? And it all ties back to this, is like, the only thing that can really derail it is something happening to John.
I thought that's what you were going to say.
Yeah. So, again, you just you do your very best to guard against all those things. You make sure that City Turf isn't, trying to come along and recruit away your general manager, things like that. But just banners out next to the road. Let's go.
If we do, it'll only make your videos more interesting.
You write down that name, John. You're like, hey, I will now target Johns in that area, and let's go.
Yeah. Tiffany and I have already been having dinner with him and his wife.
That's
so
right.
we're,
That's
we're
right.
ready. Yeah,
That was a joke for everyone. That was
that's
just
a joke.
that was a joke.
I don't even know who this guy is. Yeah. So,
but ultimately, for all of those things, it's a matter of pivoting. And I think for anyone listening, there's going to always be reasons when you go faster, there's increased risk. And so the greatest risk is that something would happen to John. John needs to move. There's a life event, something doesn't work out. And so you do everything possible to make sure that the incentives of that person are aligned with the business objectives. And this is where I see the breakdown of most of the time when people are trying to scale quickly or trust a general manager is, are there incentives, whether it be pay, their time with their family, like everything you need to know, everything about them to make sure it's aligned with the business objectives if you're going to put that much confidence in one person.
Yeah. You mentioned a concern around vans. What is it that you're worried about with vans? Like what comes to mind? I know it's new, but what do you think could be the problem?
Mostly just that's new.
Okay.
And so it's
what you don't know. It's not
correct.
That there's something you're worried about.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's owners inside of Gustav. So I've watched the videos, I've picked their brains, I've talked to probably 10 or 15 other owners that do vans. And so I'm confident, but it's just another thing I have not done myself.
And rightly so. Okay. What about taking it home? What have you heard? What's the concern there?
We had like a whole episode on this before.
Yeah,
and so I'm betting that it is a recruiting tool.
Yeah.
And I'm also
I don't think there's a question.
Yeah. And so I'm betting on that. I think there's liability around people, taking your customers because they're going to be on the same route all the time. You're doing work outside of work hours, but there's things you can do to mitigate these things. And so there's pros and cons to it. And I'm banking on the fact that retention is the number one secret weapon of every great home service business. And one of the things that I don't think you talk enough about is just how long your technicians, a lot of them have been at City Turf.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And that is a secret weapon, whether it be at management, 100%. But even technician level. And so I want to demonstrate that. And when we hit the goal, it'll be a fact me being able to say, this is why. And one of them will be, you make certain sacrifices and you trust your people. And yes, you got to figure out other systems. Like, yes, we'll have video and tracking a little bit more. And there'll be some logs and pictures and videos and forms they got to fill each day. And it'll be a little more difficult to make sure we do some quality control. Like those things will happen, but it's at the expense or for the expense of having better retention. And I want to emphasize those things a lot.
Yeah. I think it's a huge value add to be able to take your truck home. I assume you guys have GPS units on all the trucks, and were you like one of the things we used to let people take them home? They were geofenced, so we knew if they moved on the weekends and things like that. Yep. So will you basically say, hey, once it's home, it's home. You could drive to and from work, but you can't take it to the bar on Saturday. I'm sure you guys are going to do that.
Yeah, 100%. So, just tailgating at Augusta van. When we see it on the news, we're like, got you.
A police chase.
Exactly.
Hey, might be good marketing.
That ramp come down out of the back, a mower comes flying out while they're driving down the highway.
Car swerve. Yeah.
Let's go.
Could be good. All right. Okay. So I think that was all nothing else comes to mind that you're really overly concerned about?
Not really. No.
Yeah, you've done this enough.
If you've built a $1 million home service business, but you're struggling to get to the next level at $10 million in annual revenue, I've created a private community just for you. It's called Home Service Boardroom, because what got you to $1 million is all the work, the hustle, the grind, figuring out your leads, your website. But what gets you from $1 million to $10 million is learning the skill of leadership, finding other great talent and managers to work for you. If that's of interest, go check out MikeAndy.com/school or see the link in the description.